Okay, start.
Hello, Madam Ashinda and friends. Today we, Group Software Chaser, are going to present about Signature Market. So these are the members. Project Manager is Wong Yoyong. System Analyst is Cikgu Nurul Farhana binti Cikgu Lela. System Designer is Muhammad Faris Akmal bin Muhammad Bustaman. Programmer Maisara binti Faizal. Tester Wan Ali Izzati binti Wan Mazuri. So we are going to discuss about part 1. Objective of the portal is to promote healthy lifestyle at affordable price for public. Info is to provide brief overview of the product. Expectation is to gain more customer and encourage public to eat more healthily. From software engineering's perspective is to ensure portal have proper functionality. First is the user interface. For me, the project manager, I choose minimal surprise. This is help the user able to predict a command such that the add to cart button is in green background, so you can see that it's a button, and to proceed to add to cart, you must click on that button.
So as a system analyst, I choose the user familiarity. The first example is that the understandable product name and use the natural language. And the second one is the familiar concept of an icon, which is a shopping cart and also a search bar.
Another user interface design principle is recoverability. The system will allow user to recover their account, and the system also gives a couple of options to do so.
So for me, programmer, I choose user guidance, which is pop-up notification is intended to draw users' attention. This implies that consistency may guide users to learn and apply the computer tools more effectively.
The UI design principle that I choose is consistency. In consistency is the interface design is concerned with making sure the elements in a user interface are uniform, which means that they will look and behave the same way as shown in the header of the signature market, all consistent in every page.
So for me, I choose the risk, which is organizational and people. The first is the organization undergoes management problems, so the probability is high and the effect is serious. This is because the new management may not allow the project to run. Next is the organization has budget problems, so the probability is usually low but it's catastrophic. So one of the strategies to prevent this is to have a proper documentation of what is needed into the system and what is important. After that, those additional features can be added later so that we can save the budget costs. Next is people. So if the developer, analyst, or designer is not available, you must find a backup plan to ensure that there is someone that's able to do their job.
So as a system analyst, I choose the requirement risk. The probability level is moderate and also the effect is serious as it affects both of the project and also the products. So the example of requirement risk is that the first one missing stakeholders, the second one incomplete requirements. So the strategy to handle this issue is that the first one to planning about the gathering meeting schedule, so no missing stakeholder will be arise the issue there. So the second one is to provide a form with a list of questions regarding the specific functions so that we have a complete requirements. So the second risk is that the estimation risk. The probability level is high and also the effect is serious as it affect the both project and also the product. The example is the first one to underestimate required time. This is due to the frequent changing requirements. So the second one is the underestimate budget is due to the changing specification and also requirements. So the strategy is that the first one to apply the change control process. This control process will help in the changing requirement will be due in the specific time, and also the second one is the using the agile estimation.
The possible risk tag as a system designer is requirement risk. For example, the requirement does not meet the client's demand. The risk probability is high and the effect is serious as the low quality system will be shipped out as an end product. The other risk is organizational risk. For example, lack of communication during the development of the project. This is also a high probability risk. The risk effect is catastrophic as it can affect the whole development process. The strategies for each of these risks is using a more flexible SDLC and having a framework that provides direction to the development team.
So the first one is people risk. This will lead to unintentionally overlook for any simple mistake due to working with code spends too much time to read and thoughts mess around. So the strategy is recruit professionals or seeking assistance from an expert. By managing the human resource, our team can work in an organized way. So the second one is technology risk. Slow performance computers may difficulties to get new specifications since COVID-19 pandemic and also overpriced. The strategy is get a refurbished laptop or second laptop, recon laptop at affordable price.
So for the first possible risk type is the estimation risk. For example, the number of bugs significantly exceeds the expected numbers, the probability is moderate, and the effect is serious. The strategy to overcome this problem is to ensure a good communication between the programmer and the tester. The second possible risk type is the people risk. The possible risk is the system tester or developer drops out at the most critical time. And to overcome this possible risk is to prepare a backup plan first before assigning each tester and the programmer for their module.
So the four laws derived from Lehman's law in signature market. The first one is the continuing change. The second one is conservation of familiarity. The third one is increasing complexity, and the fourth one is the continuing growth.
So for me, the project manager, the advantages of allowing users in release testing is to ensure website meets user requirements. So during the release testing, user can check whether the requirements and the functionality is as what was required discussed earlier. Next is to allow users to suggest idea and modifications. So maybe they can suggest modification to make it much easier for user to understand how to use, like maybe add a tutorial or slide or video or help. Next is the disadvantage. PMV stage, the flow is usually like a waterfall model is a V-shaped model in sequential mode. So modification can only happen after the testing. So that is the disadvantage.
So as a system analyst, the benefit from it is the first one, the generic report is well documented. And the second one is that the written requirements that has been discussed in the early phase, which is the planning phase, can be checked whether it is met with the client and user requirements or not. So the disadvantages of involving the user is that the result from the validation and verification might be difficult to be conclude or consensus, as there might be an issue as conflicting requirements. This is due to a different point of view from the sentence user.
As a system designer, the two advantages involving the user in the development phase is any changes required can be immediately identified and saving time during the modifying new design. The disadvantage is the better input may not be obtained from the customer as the system is not yet fully developed.
Okay, so for me as a programmer, the VNV user satisfaction by evaluating user requirements that are as specific as feasible to meet the system needs. So I as the programmer should make changes based on the user request. The second one is avoid unnecessary features. Users may become perplexed during system testing due to the abundance of features displayed. So that users can point out unnecessary features to save costly software development costs. The next is the disadvantage is it requires a lot of time and commitment. Some users may be computer illiterate, so I must assume responsibility because there may be revisions and time waste, causing the system to be delivered late within the agreement.
And the first benefits of user involvement in testing is the first one, the system tester is able to understand the user points of view. And second one is to reduce the system tester workloads as the user can help the system tester in testing the system. The disadvantages of user involvement is that the testing process will be quite challenging and difficult to handle with fussy and intolerable user since it will require longer time to satisfy all the user requirements.
Next is the factors. So first is program age and structure. So over time, the software environment and the requirement will change. So the structure will be degraded or is outdated. So in order to prevent this, one of the ways is to either carry out regular maintenance to ensure the structure is always maintained. Or one way is the maintenance cost is too high is to do re-engineering to restructure the program. Next is contractual responsibility. So some companies do not offer maintenance, so if they do not need to carry out maintenance, they just make a program that's able to work in this software environment and not maintain.
So as a system analyst, the factors that I choose is that the first one is staff skills. This is where the inexperienced maintenance staff who are clueless might not have the idea of solving the problem. They might also cause a huge problem as they might try an error to solve the problem. So the second thing is that the proper teaching session and good user manual in handling the maintenance process should be prepared in a great form. The system analyst is the one who are in charge in teaching the session and also provide a solution if there is any issues or problems. So the second one is that the second factor is that the program age and also structure. This is where the tools and software need to be changed depend on the changing requirements from the e-commerce trends.
As a system designer, the factors are program age and structure. Older systems are more difficult to understand and update, and maintaining the older system might be more costly than building a new one. The other factor is maintenance staff skills. In order to ensure the system is working well and properly, staff skills need to be high. Lacking skills and knowledge leads to the system being poorly maintained.
As a programmer, I choose program age and structure. As a programmer, components in the signature market need to determine which parts of the system are likely to develop difficulties and require significant maintenance costs. By acquiring an up-to-date system that matches with the current trend keeps the system in place. So the next is contractual responsibility. I should prepare documentation of an updated maintenance work delivery for the IT department of signature market to prevent unusual things happen at a critical time.
The first factor is staff skills. System tester has high skill in testing process and up to date with the latest testing tools to reduce time taken for testing. For example, staff who have no experience will take longer time to test, hence the process will take longer time to complete and will make the cost for the project increase. The second factor is the program age and structure. The structure for the program degraded as it aged and harder to understand the code as the code gets bulky. So each time the code and the new code is implemented, the new code and the system need to be tested many times since hence it will take longer time to find the error.
Next is VMV technique. So for me, the project manager, I chose a software inspection, which is aesthetic verification. One of the reasons why I choose this is it can detect anomalies and defects. So during checking of documents and interviews, we can find what are the anomalies and defects that might occur in this program. Next is to check a broader attribute of the program, such as quality, performance, and maintainability.
So as a system analyst, I choose the beta testing. The reason why is that the first one is focused on the feedback from the users and also shows the end user whether the requirement that has been discussed in the gathering requirement process is suitable to be implemented or not. So the benefits from the beta testing is that the first one, it will examine the level of user satisfaction by giving the system being validated by the real user. So the second one is that they give the product the chance to be high quality through customer validation. So the beta testing is also a dynamic V&V. The reason why is because executed and perform the program at the end of the software development.
As a system designer, the VMV technique that I chose is design verification and validation process. This is a static methodology that evaluates software product for the exact need of the clients. It is also assess whether or not the product meets the requirement that have been defined for it.
For me, I choose unit testing, which is considering the aftermath of coding the program, I must prepare to perform testing for signature market. Such testing and debugging programs are very important for the customers in experiencing the signature market, since they might often be unsure of what computers can do for them. Unit testing allows programmers to save time and perform as little as possible.
As a system tester, I choose system testing. System testing is a level of testing that validates this complete and fully integrated software product. The benefits of system testing is first, it helps in discovering maximum bugs before acceptance testing, and system testing is a black box testing, which means that it does not require staff to have skills and experience in testing, and system testing is included in dynamic testing approach. For the part 3, comments on signature market website by comparing with amazing.com. website as in any aspect. The first aspect is in terms of software reliability. The signature market apply fault avoidance more than Amazing Grace website. And next, in terms of user interface design, the Amazing Grace website apply the design principle in terms of consistency and recoverability more than Amazing Grace, the more than signature market.
Two suggestions for future enhancement for signature market website is implementing motion UI in web design and development. Includes a variety of features such as shapes, 3D objects, videos and graphics and so on. The second one is the ability to provide more secure site to ensure the site has SSL certificate or tighten network security. Example of tightening network security is implementation of sessions.
Next is the possible system problems. So for me, I choose hardware component failure. So one of the things is, for example, a system server, if it has been used for many years, in the future it may be the components may be outdated or old and not able to carry out as the process very well. Another thing is it may be overload of processes. So if there's many requests towards the server, it may be overloaded, and with the old and outdated component, it's not able to work as well, and it may cause overheating or inability to carry out the processes and may crash.
So the possible problem is that the exposure to the dangerous environment due to the lack of security measures. The aspect is the in terms of software reliability. The influence factors is that the first one, the number of faults present in the software, and the second one, the education, experience, and also training of development personnel. So the consequence from the exposure to the dangerous environment in the signature market is the first one is skimming. Is skimming where the hackers will inject a malicious code where they can get the data, the confidential data of the user. So the second one is that the cyber criminals might have the access to discover the confidential data from the customer.
Another possible problem is outdated or poor visual design. Hardware-wise, it should not cause too many troubles. From software reliability perspective, some visual design or even some of the functionalities of the website are possibly not working anymore. System reliability perspective, system will become less and less reliable and the quality of the system is not will be good as it was currently.
Possible problem for signature market is unreliable because it deteriorates with time and eventually fails. So to compensate for this unreliability, maintenance is required. Any maintenance decision must be based on a thorough understanding of the degradation process over time and maintenance actions from a life cycle perspective.
The possible system problem is errors in the output provided by the destination market system. This is related to the software reliability. When the signature market system produces incorrect output, the system performance will drop. For example, is the signature market system provide errors output during the checkout process for the user address or total calculated by the system to pay for the product in the cart. The factors of this problem is complexity of code and the old code. That's all from us. Thank you.